gentlemen, this is the Spit Sports Show. I don't know if I have ever been more excited for an episode than I am right now. You know why? Because in honor of yesterday being Sportsmageddon, Sport Anomaly, there's something. The only day in 2023 where all four major American sports were being played on the same day. Today on the Spit Sports Show, I am doing something similar, except mine's only going to be three sports because, to tell you the truth, I don't want to talk about something that I don't think I have a deep knowledge in and can't teach somebody about. So I'm not going to be talking about baseball today, but football, hockey, basketball, a topic on all three sports coming in today. First time ever, because they're all playing at the same time for the first time ever, at least in the history of this podcast. I started up in the summer when, I had to talk about, I kind of had to make up stories, but at this point, the stories come straight to me. And I want to start with my hometown, Vancouver Canucks. Yes, I'm leading with hockey. Listen, when I grew up in Vancouver, every single person I knew basically was a Canucks fan. And I always respected it, but it was never me. For some reason, the Canucks never really got into my blood. Like, just watching them, I never, they didn't really make my bones tingle. I just wasn't a fan of them instantly like I was the Lions or even the Raptors in the NBA. Those teams, when I watched them, I was like, yeah, that's my team. With the Canucks, I never really had that. And I don't know why, because I do root for them. I want them to do well. But you know those you remember Minecraft Pocket Edition on your iPhone? And then there was the full paid for version. You were the coolest kid in school if you had the 9.99. But there was also the Minecraft Lite version. You know what I mean? I think it was only creative mode. You only had a certain amount of blocks you could use. It was like a worse version of the same game. I see the Vancouver Canucks as basically a light version of the Dallas Cowboys and Toronto Maple Leafs. They are an accident waiting to happen. What can go wrong will go wrong. None of those are my quotes, but it applies to these guys. It just seems like no matter how much hope, no matter how promising a team in Vancouver could be, they always end up doing way below what they should be doing in terms of their expectations. 2011 comes to mind, 2013, both Sedin brothers won a freaking scoring title, for God's sakes, and they couldn't do anything with them. So this year, it seems like they've done the exact opposite of that. Obviously, they're 6-2 right now. They are playing unbelievable hockey. They are towards the top of the league. And what I noticed about this Canucks team is that it seems like, especially these last few years, they've either had depth pieces or they've had superstar talent, but they've never been able to have both. You know what I mean? Like last year, for example, Pedersen played like he was a top 10 player in the league. Quentin Hughes was putting up some of the greatest assist numbers in the history of defense, but their third line and fourth line were just so poor and their goaltending was so poor that as a team sport that hockey is, the whole squad just kind of collapsed behind it. Kuzmenko even had a good breakout season last year, but again, if your third and fourth lines aren't playing up to par, even their second line wasn't very good, you're not going to be able to win many hockey games. This year, though, Pedersen is once again playing like a top 10 player. I'm going to use their superstars first. Pedersen's been unbelievable. In 8 games, he's got 13 points. That will work. A JT Miller is looking like the JT Miller from 2 years ago. He's got 12. Brock Besser's got 9, including 6 goals. Who is what? Since when is Brock Besser in the Richard conversation? But he's almost at a goal a game right now. Talk about a resurgence. Quinn Hughes is doing his thing. But what is so amazing is not the superstar high-end talent that Vancouver has, because I think we all knew that these guys are going to be able to put up some goals. They're top of the line talent. It's the people behind them who are supporting them that they are not playing like who they are right now. They're playing like men possessed. I'm talking about Philip Hronik. Who the heck is this guy? He's got 7 points. Like, Tyler Myers has 4 points. He's one of the worst defensemen I've seen play with my own 2 eyes, especially at this stage in his career, except he's got 4 points right now, including a nasty snipe, shorthanded goal the other day. When I saw that go in, I was just like, okay, maybe the Canucks are just blessed this season. Because Tyler Myers scoring a shorthanded goal is like me shooting a hole in one. You know what I mean? Like it happens maybe 1 in a million. Maybe he's a bit more likely than me to hit a hole in one, but you get the point. It doesn't happen. Well, I should have looked up the last time Tyler Myers scored a shorthanded goal before this episode. I apologize for that. I don't want to spend the time to do it now because you all can tell I'm looking something up. But anyways, goaltending has been unbelievable. Demko has been just a flat out stud. Casey DeSmith is, I believe, their other goalie. He's been playing out of his mind. And coming into the season, I really, really did not think that Rick Tocchet was going to be the coach for this team because he's got that Tortorella in him. He's very by the book, systems based, defensive first head coach, and I didn't think that was going to work with the Canucks kind of young, free culture. You know what I mean? Led by their captain Hughes, and Pedersen's a pretty free flowing player and all that stuff. But it seems to have worked so far, at least. Like I think Tocchet is the perfect coach for 1 year. You know what I mean? He'll light a spark plug underneath you. You'll play your ass off for him for a year. But I think his personality is going to wear this team down after a while. And this year, unfortunately, if they're going to be going all in, they're just not talented enough to win the cup right now. So my overall takeaway with all of that being said, this is nothing but a quick little spurt for the Canucks. Now, will it extend to the end of the season? I don't know. I think the ceiling for this team, though, is a second round exit. That is the best case scenario. If they make it to the second round, the city of Vancouver will go up in flames. People will start, I think they'll riot for a second round win at this point. Like, if they make it to the conference finals, which there's no way they're doing, but if they do, I don't think I'll be able to record episodes for the next week or so because everybody around my house and in my neighborhood will just be losing their minds. Like it wouldn't be clean audio. So I hope it doesn't happen. They've got a distinct second round ceiling, in my opinion, just because they're not as talented as a Vegas or a Dallas or a bunch of these other teams in the West. Edmonton, even though Edmonton's been playing like the worst team in the NHL right now, I don't expect them to keep that pace. The Canucks are having a really, really cute run right now, and they'll probably make the playoffs just off of their hot start. And, if they can keep it going, but second round ceiling, they're not as good as these other teams in the West. And all of these power rankings putting them top 5, just stop it. Just stop it. Like, I get that it's exciting that a prominent, Canadian market team is doing well. But guys, they're not as good as a lot of these top teams. They're not as good as the Avs. They're just not. But I wanted to move on and talk about the NFL because one of the sayings that you hear a lot, just as a cliche, is no half measures. You know what I mean? There's a whole Breaking Bad episode about it where Mike gives, Walt this big speech about no more half measures, Walter. Well, the Patriots need a half measure. And if you don't know what I mean, stick with me. It's going to make a whole lot more sense in a moment. So the Patriots currently are 2-6 on the year. Let's start off with that. It's not going well. Mac Jones is playing like a bottom 10 quarterback at best. They're 25th in touchdowns, 26th in yards per game, and their defense doesn't look anywhere near as talented and just thoroughly well coached as it has in previous years. Obviously, their offense is the bigger issue, though. So I want to make this conversation less about the Patriots and more about Bill Belichick, because that's what I'm interested in. Because since Brady left in 2020, the conversation that everybody had and was having was who is going to win the Brady Belichick divorce? Who was more responsible for the Patriots' 20-year dynasty, which, by the way, both of them were very responsible for it. It was just a matter of, 60-40 or 75-25. That was the debate going on. Who was more valuable to the dynasty? At the start, it looked like Belichick because the defenses were winning a lot of the championships at the start, and even towards the end with that masterclass performance against the Rams. Brady only scored 13 points in that game. Belichick held the highest scoring offense in the NFL to 3 points. So it was looking like, it kind of 50-50. But since Brady left, it has shifted drastically in Brady's direction. First year Brady's gone, he wins a Super Bowl with the Bucs. The next year he makes it to the second round of the playoffs. He comes second in MVP voting his first year away. And overall, he just kind of cements his legacy as the greatest of all time. Whereas Belichick, since 2020, we are going to do in honor of this, our first ever blind reveal on the show. Okay, so I'm going to put up two different teams right now, hopefully, if I can get the editing right. Two different teams. One of them is the Patriots. Another is another franchise, mystery. But since 2020, all right, so one of these teams, the Patriots, is 27-31. The other team is 30-27. All right, so obviously pretty close, but one team's better. Defense since 2020. This is their average ranking in amongst the 32 teams. So the Patriots are 6th, the other team's 12th. Both of them are pretty good. Patriots are slightly better. Offense since 2020. This is just points per game. The Patriots are 20th. This other team is 16th. This other team has a playoff win. The Patriots don't. Again, all of these stats are since Brady left the Patriots in 2020. One of them is the Patriots. The other team, the Cleveland Browns. Ladies and gentlemen, the Patriots have turned into the worst franchise, or one of the worst franchises in the NFL. The Cleveland Browns since 2020 have had Baker Mayfield as quarterback, signed Deshaun Watson, and traded for Deshaun Watson in the worst acquisition in NFL history. And yet they have still had more success than the New England Patriots have under the alleged greatest head coach of all time. I still think he is, but it's starting to become a question mark at this point. So I say all of that to say this. Bill Belichick's issue in the NFL is not his coaching. On a game-to-game basis, if you watch the Patriots, which I've done less and less of recently, but I do watch them, his game management, his coaching, his defensive game plans are still top of the top in the NFL, especially on his side of the ball. He's still an unbelievable defensive coach, one of the greatest of all time, even at his advanced age. His issue is Bill Belichick, the GM, has done Bill Belichick, the head coach, an incredible disservice. He is flat out atrocious at picking offensive talent. I think he's drafted 2 Hall of Fame offensive players since he became the Patriots GM in 2000. Like Gronk, obviously. If you want to count Brady, that's another. And maybe Edelman. But Edelman's fringe because he doesn't have a Pro Bowl appearance. He's just the greatest playoff receiver of all time besides Jerry Rice. So I don't know if Edelman will get in. I'm just saying it's hard to get into the Hall of Fame without a Pro Bowl appearance. So let's say he drafted 3. Most GMs do that within like 5 years. Like even the Lions drafted Calvin Johnson and Matthew Stafford within, what was it, 5-ish years of each other. And that's when they were sorry. One of the worst franchises in the NFL, 0-16 type Detroit Lions. Like it is hard to whiff this badly on offensive talent this much. Like N'Keal Harry, they drafted in the first round. That guy's barely in the league anymore. Gunnar Olszewski was a big pick for them. Jacoby Myers, like all of these guys, they either bust in New England, don't get another job, or in the case of Jacoby Myers, bust in New England and go and create a decent career for themselves somewhere else. So his offensive personnel decisions are trash. His offensive talent and development is trash. So what does he need to do? Well, this is where the half measure comes in. Robert Kraft needs to put on his big boy pants and say, Bill Belichick, you're fired as the general manager. You can keep your position as head coach if you want. If we haven't insulted you so much that you just want to leave, because I have a funny feeling that's what he might do if Kraft brings this up. I think his pride and ego, which have driven him to this success so far. I don't know if he'd be able to take that demotion, but if he knows what's good for him, he will. Because a GM who actually knows what they're doing around him, trying to pick offensive pieces, handling the draft, all of that stuff with his coaching could be a special duo. But will Kraft ask him to do that? Will he give up that power? Those are all total unknowns. But if the Patriots want to get back on track with Bill Belichick as the head coach, become a respected franchise, a fun franchise, a dominant franchise, once again, Bill Belichick either needs to step down as GM or Kraft needs to give him the boot. Because he's still a great coach. He's just a terrible general manager. On defense, he can pick personnel just fine, and I'm sure he can consult with the GM on that stuff because obviously the GM, would respect the opinions of the greatest coach of all time. But yeah, offensive personnel and all that stuff because it's dragging the Patriots down. You cannot, this genuinely makes me upset talking about this. You can't win football games in 2023 with Juju Smith-Schuster and Hunter Henry as your two best pass catchers. Like I'm not a big Mac Jones guy. I don't think he's even elite to the slightest degree, but I think he's just as good as Brock Purdy is. And if Brock Purdy was in the MVP discussion for a week there, and a lot of people are picking his team to go to the Super Bowl. So, listen, Mac Jones, you can call him the problem as much as you want, but he's got no talent around him. None. Like, if you put any rookie quarterback, if you put Caleb Williams on the Patriots right now, like, I don't think he'd be the best rookie. Like, depending where Drake May goes, I think Drake May would outplay him. It's such a hard situation because Bill Belichick, the personnel chooser, is just off his skis. So finishing off this podcast, I'm going to calm down a little bit because the Patriots do genuinely frustrate me with their offensive picks because they used to be so. Anyways, Harden, James Harden. I have some thoughts on this trade from the Clippers and the Sixers perspective, but I want to start with the Clippers because that's where the superstar is going. Should I talk? I'm going to talk about Harden first. First of all, I have no respect for this guy anymore. Like, on the court, he's one of the all-time greats in the regular season. But, like, dude, this is the third freaking time you've whined your way out of a situation and gotten exactly where you wanted to go with no reason why. Last season in Philadelphia, he complained that he didn't get the ball enough, complained that he didn't win a scoring title, was terrible in the playoffs, was average in the regular season, and got exactly where he wanted to go. It's frustrating to me because, like, this isn't how life is supposed to work. You're not supposed to go from one job and just say, yeah, I want to go to, let's say I'm at, what's a good example? I'm at Save On Foods. All right. I'm a grocery guy and I want to go work at, Premium Foods, and I can just quit. I can just start showing up late. I can start, being rude to employees. I can just start being a jerk to my colleagues. And you know what? It doesn't matter. They'll just ship me over to Premium Foods where I can get a brand new job and be exactly where I want to be. That's not how life works. Like, I don't understand how these NBA superstars are so above not just like the NBA law, but above the laws of life. Like, Harden makes me upset. He really, really does. And I don't even respect his game that much, to be totally honest with you. I respected it in Houston because he was an offense unto himself. But nowadays, he's just an unwilling distributor who wants to get more shots up than he's going to get. Clippers, in terms of their perspective on this is the nail in the coffin for their franchise. First of all, you're not winning a title with James Harden and Russell Westbrook as two of your primary ball handlers. First of all, neither of them have any rings. Second of all, both of them are below average playoff performers. And third of all, we've seen this before, and it didn't work. And that was without Kawhi and Paul George both needing at least 20 shots apiece. It's not going to work. Like, I know the Clippers' odds went up when they got Harden. I genuinely thought they were going to go down because people don't understand that putting a bunch of superstars into a blender doesn't equal a championship. This has Steve Ballmer written all over it. Like, he's a billionaire owner who bought the Clippers and said, we want to take over LA from the Lakers. So did he do that by slowly but surely building up a roster of great young players who could eventually take over LA and, build it organically? He could have done it. He had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the building, for God's sakes. He had him in a Clippers jersey. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, one of the best young players in the NBA, who OKC is now building an unbelievable roster around. They're going to be in title contention for the next few years. And I'm going to bring them back up in a minute. No, he decided to not do it organically. He decided to do it artificially by signing as many superstars as he possibly could and hoping that would be a gate attraction. Well, listen, buddy. Taking over LA was never about the superstars. It was about winning. LA is such a distracted market. They've got a million sports teams, a million movies, stars everywhere, and a partridge in a pear tree. If you want attention in that city, you have to win games. And that is not something they are going to do with this team. Daryl Morey wins. from the 76ers perspective, the Sixers got more for Harden than the Blazers got for Drew Holiday, which boggles my mind. Like, because Drew Holiday is such a more valuable player to a championship right now than James Harden is. Like, it's not even close. It's not even close. Um, and last point on the Clippers before I wrap up, the Clippers have no first round picks until 2030. Good luck building up that future, Balmer. As soon as Kawhi's arthritic knee finally gives out on him for good, Paul George's patella goes out on him for good, Westbrook retires, Harden probably goes off into his career as a, I can't say that, but something else other than basketball because he doesn't seem too interested in basketball anymore. He is going to be left with just about nothing. And I can't say I feel that bad for him because he had exactly what you need to build an organic, great team in the building, and he decided to ship it all out for rentals and superstars and box office attractions because he is the shadow GM of the team and he runs it. Good for him. I hope his new state-of-the-art arena is awesome in 2030 when they have no good players. Anyways, that is all for the Spit Sports Show today. In my opinion, this is one of the best episodes we've ever done. I usually don't reflect on what I just did at the end of episodes. I felt great about that. All three sports hit, all three just phenomenal takes. I'm sure you agree. If you don't, however, somehow agree with everything I said, please say in the comments below what you disagreed with. I'd be happy to listen and reply. I do reply to comments because I'm small enough that I can. So please comment away. The Spit Sports Show hopefully comes out every other day, but no guarantees because life has been kind of kicking my ass recently with school and work. But I love you all. Thank you so much for the support regardless, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.